I need to check and see if I'm live because I made this mistake the other day. And before I get to talking and rambling and going on, I need to make sure that everything I got going on is connected. Because, see, I am a one woman show. And because I am a one woman show, I want to make sure that I am live
A one
and
woman
that you can
show.
hear me.
Because I am a one woman show, I want to make sure.
Okay, y'all can hear me. Listen, I was trying to do this the other day for the first time on this platform, and I did it. I did it. Yes, I did do it. But as luck would have it, because sometimes the devil is always at play, I went to go watch my replay and realized that the sound was muffled. So please forgive me while I fumble my way through greatness. Mm-hmm. While I fumble my way through greatness, because this ain't gonna look. Listen, because I'm noticing now I need to move this picture over that way a little bit, okay? Because I need to be centered right in the middle. But we're gonna get around to that. Listen, I am glad to be here. I am Yashika Foster, the host of Hood Parenting on all social platforms, YouTube and over on Facebook and over on Instagram, or Coach Yashika, Yashika Foster. Let's get into today's video. If this is your first time here, I have three different series that I do for Hood Parenting. I do the FTC, which is for the children, when I speak directly to the children, right? And then I got FTP for the parents, when I have a message for the parents. And then I got FUA for us all, because sometimes I have a message that is for everybody. Everybody can benefit from it. Why am I able to tell these stories? Because I have lived a life that's tried and true, and I have been through some things, and I got a fancy degree, marriage and family counseling, along with a bachelor's in marriage and family, and a bachelor's in psychology, and I'm a certified life coach. So not only do I have two divorces and 25 years of military service, I'm from Detroit, single parent. I have had every dynamic. And when I say single parent, I was raised from a single parent household, absentee father, you name it. I have either the experience or the education. And sometimes it's both. And I use those things as well as my hood gut instinct so that I can live this suburban life now, right? Because it wasn't easy. I'm telling you, it wasn't easy. There's a thing where I believe that young adults think that things are easy. Even some of the older adults think that things are easy or supposed to come easy, or if you do this one thing, then these things supposed to happen. That's not how life works. But today, I think this video is for us all, FUA, for us all. And what I'm talking about is, how many boxes do you put yourself in? Now, a couple of weeks ago, I did a video on YouTube that was called "People Will Put You in a Box" or something along those lines, where I talked about how people will assume certain things about you before they get to know you. Whether they're judging you by where you come from, or they're judging you by your gender or your race or your religion or your sexual orientation or whatever it might be. People will have preconceived notions about you, and therefore they will automatically put you into a box before you even say hi to them, right? Because they see you from across the room and they're like, you know what? This person is this. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying every observation is wrong. I'm not saying that we don't have this certain sixth sense about us that we can pick up on certain things about people. I'm not saying that's true, but what I am saying is that sometimes those boxes that people will put you in are boxes also that you put yourself in. And what do I mean by that? I'm talking about the boxes that we do when it comes to how we should live our lives, how we should, do certain things in order, whether it be go have a career and then have a family or get married, or what religion we should follow, or what sexual orientation we should follow, or if you do this then you are this person, or the way we raise our children, or whatever. There are times where people will want to put you in the box, and what they do is one thing, but how do you look at yourself? What type of box do you put yourself in? Do you put yourself in the same box that those same people are saying, this is who you are, and you're believing it, right? And I say this because I think about as I raise my children, as I do certain things, and there are certain instances where I'll think about, should I do this way? Because back then, when it came to certain decisions or us saying no or us saying what we're not going to do, we just automatically say, well, who's going to judge me? What are they thinking about me because I'm making this decision about myself? Because I'm putting myself in a box. I'll give you a story because I tell things through stories, honey. And I got this minute in my mouth because listen, when you talk for a while, after a while, you be needing something, okay? But hopefully I won't choke on it. But I'm gonna give you a story about one of my sons, and this happened a couple of years ago. My oldest son, and this particular year, he had just moved back to our area, and he was riding in his car, which was a car that I purchased when he was 2 years old. It's a 2000 or a 1997 318 BMW I or BMW 318i BMW. And he bought that car from me or got that car from me when he was about 16 or 17. And he's been driving it ever since. He still has it, but I've got that car from him when he was two. I got that car when he was 2 years old. I picked it up on his second birthday. And so fast forward 25, 24 years or whatever, he still has this car. Well, one day he come home, he had just come back from being out of state, living out of state for about a year. And he came home and he had just picked his car up from the shop because he needed some detail work done to it or something. And he picked it up from the shop. Well, the same day he picked his car up from the shop, he went downtown and the car broke down on him. And so this was like a Wednesday. And he called me and he said, Mom, my car broke down. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, son, call your mechanic, and figure out what's going on because you need to get your car from down there, whatever, right? And so I'm thinking, okay, he's 20 something, he's well over the age of 25. He's got it. He got friends down there. It was by his university. He got a girlfriend somewhere. He's good to go. So the next day, which was that Thursday, I didn't hear from him. And so I asked my youngest son, I said, hey, have you heard from your brother? And he said, no. So I called my son that Thursday and I said, hey, where are you? So he goes to tell me how he was still at his car. And his car was about 5 miles walking distance from my house. Or, it takes what, an hour and a half to walk 5 miles, 2 hours maybe if you're walking slow, or an Uber drive of 15 minutes, just depending. Okay. Well, I found out that he was still in the car. When I called him that Thursday, I found out that he was still in his car. So he had stayed downtown where his car had broke down overnight in his car. And so later on that night, and I said, you mean to tell me you didn't catch an Uber home or you didn't like walk or have a friend pick you up or something? And he said, no. Like, why would I pay for Uber? Why would I do this? And I was blown away. Because see, at this particular time, there was a lot going on within our family, within our circle. We had just experienced a very tremendous death. And then what I didn't know is that things were going to get even hectic from that point on. And I didn't know this because that was just the beginning of the storm. But my son had decided to stay in his car overnight. And so when I talked to him, this was going into the second night because remind you, his car broke down Wednesday. This was Thursday that I talked to him. So we were it was Thursday night going into Friday because it was about 8, 9 o'clock that night. So he sends me a text that night about how he it's a shame that I have cars parked outside and I didn't come get him. And so in defense to myself, I had explained to him first, I didn't even know he was in his car. Because when he talked to me and I told him on that Wednesday to call your mechanic, I'm thinking he had everything squared away because he did not get back in touch with me. I had to be the one to call him on that Thursday. And so when he texted me and I talked to him later on that evening on that Thursday again, I think it was by text. And I told him, I said, well, I got some things going on Friday in the area that you're in. If you're still down there, I'll scoop you up. If not, then I'm not, hey, you know, it is what it is. And so He told me that he just wanted me to come pick him up. And for me, I didn't understand that because I'm like, you are an adult man. But anyway, I say this story not because of what happened after that, because trust me, it was a lot. But one of the things that I did deal with was, how did I judge myself in that moment as a parent? Because I had to remember that, yes, he's an adult, but I'm still a parent. Yes, he's a man, but I'm still his mom, right? But it wasn't so much of what I felt, it was how I thought people would respond to the way that I did it. Because in my mind, you are an adult man. Because what if you were still in the other state that you would just come from? If you had a broke down, I couldn't have come get you because you literally were on the other side on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. So what would you have done in that situation? Because we want our children to still be able to be okay without us. So we want to protect them and put them up under here, but at the same time, we have to give them room to grow and they have to be able to practice some of the skills that we teach them, because how else are we going to know if we've led them down a good road or down a road that will help them in life. But I think about the box that I put myself in that moment. I think about the box that I judge myself. And it's just not in that moment, it's things leading up to that. Like, did I get married as a young woman because I felt like this is what's supposed to happen? I'm supposed to do it this way or do it that way. I'm sorry, I still have a 10-year-old at home. So do I go ahead and look at it from this perspective of, I'm putting myself in this box and how is the world judging me, or are these my preconceived notions that I did to myself when it comes to marriage, when it comes to marrying young, when it comes to feeling like I'm supposed to do things this way, when it comes to the way that I live my life? Because even as I sit here as a 50-year-old woman, twice divorced, I think about things like that. I think about me wanting to be married again, for example. Is this something that I want, or is this something that society has forced upon me that I have to feel that as a woman, I'm supposed to be married? And here's the thing, I'm still trying to figure that one out. I'm still trying to figure that one out every day, because every day it is a struggle. And that's another live. And we'll talk about that another day. But right now, we're talking about the boxes that we're putting ourselves in, not my dating life. But I think about the things that I thought that I was supposed to do, or the things that I didn't do it because I was afraid of how somebody else might see me, or because of the things that I heard as a young girl, or from people in my life, or whatever, even as an adult, things that I hear. And so it's like, what if I didn't put myself in a box? Who could I be? What would I be? What would I be doing? And so as I continue to peel away these layers, because my life went from me being a girl at home to living a military life, and in between there, marriages and things like that. And here's the thing, I love my life. I love my life. But at the same time, I also know that there were certain parameters that I lived in. Now, certain parameters are good because we need rules, we need guidelines, we need left and right limits, because if not, we'll commit crimes, we'll do things that put us in jail, and we don't want that. So I'm not talking about that extreme, but I'm talking about the world where we don't care about, and I won't use the word don't care, but we don't consider other people's opinions about what we're doing before we consider about how we want to do something or what we want to do. In other words, we just jump out there and we do it. If I say that, like I had a girl ask me today, I went to go get my nails done, and my nail tech asked me, she said, where are you going dressed up? And I didn't think I was dressed up. I mean, I had on, what I have on now. And I said to her, I said, well, I left the house and I came to get my nails done, and I probably go to this, do that, or whatever. But for the most part, why do I have to be going somewhere to get dressed up? Why do I have to be going somewhere to be pretty, or to make sure I'm put together, or to not look like I'm just running to the store, right? In sweatsuit and pants, and, or excuse me, sneakers. And if that's your thing, that's your thing. But for me, but that's one of those things where people have their own misconceptions about, well, if you're wearing this, then you must be doing this. No, sometimes I like to just get dressed up because I'm leaving the house and I don't even have to be going anywhere wonderful. Like, and what I mean by that, I could be just be going to, grocery shop, you know what I mean? And I'm still going to take time out to make sure that I look the way I want to look because I might make a stop in between here. So for me, I looked at it like those were her perceived notions about what society is, because in her mind, maybe jeans and a t-shirt was good enough to go get your nails done. And it might be for some people, but for me, what if I want to make a stop? What if I want to go somewhere else? What if I run into that potential husband? We never know. What if? So I want to always be ready because, like I tell the young people, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Okay, that's just what I believe. I believe when they came out with that little slogan, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. All right, because you're always ready. But I think about just some of the things that we tell ourselves, some of the boxes that we put ourselves in, and because of that, it limits us to where we supposed to be in this world. And I'm not saying that you don't eventually figure it out, but we spend a lot of time trying to live up to what other people think right looks like. We spend so much time trying to fit our concept of living or our concept in life into somebody else's mold, because see, that's their mode. And granted, I understand that when we're young, we don't really have a choice because we have to go by what our parents think, what our, whoever raising us or whatever our authoritative figure is, whatever they think. But once we get from that age of I have to still ask permission, it's like, okay, now what? You get to do whatever you want to do. You get to be whoever you want to be. You get to decide in this world how you want to live this life, right? And it's not going to always be something that everybody's going to agree to. Not everybody is going to get it. Some people are going to look at you and say, why would you do that? Like, there's no way. I remember when I was joining the Army in 1991, and I would have my family, I would say to my family, like, hey, why don't you come and join with me? It's not what you think it is. It's easier than what the commercials tell you that it look like. And so their concept was, I can't be anywhere having somebody yelling at me, telling me what to do all day. And I'm telling them that's not what it is. But at the same time, unless you live in a world where you work for yourself, you're going to always have somebody telling you what to do. I mean, that's employment 101. Somebody is in charge of you in employment 101, right? Even in your own company, you still have people that's telling you you have to abide by these guidelines or these rules or these regulations. So there's always rules, but the way they perceived it was that the military was something that people are yelling at you, yelling at you, yelling at you, yelling at you. But I tell this story because for me, I had to go and find out for myself. Like I'm like, well, if I allow them to steer my mind of what the military is, then I wouldn't have kept going because I knew it wasn't that, right? Because I had to go and then they're looking at me like, well, why would you want to leave your home? Why would you want to go and be around something where you don't know? And because I didn't want to be where I was limited in what I was doing. I wanted to go and explore, and I knew that I couldn't do it on my own. And meaning that I didn't have no money, I didn't have no education. I was straight out of high school. Where was I gonna go? Okay, it ain't like it nowadays days where kids at the age of 20 got passports. It ain't like that when I was coming up in the hood. We ain't have no passports. All right. The furthest I had ever traveled was to my two uncles' house. One was in Minneapolis and the other one was in Baltimore. That's as far as I had ever went. The first time I got on the plane was when I joined the Army. All right. First time I went to sleep. I mean, I was in awe. I was like, ooh, because the plane was going all kind of way. The second time was after basic training. They sent me home and I slept the whole way. The third time I was kind of scared then because I was like, oh, why is it shaking so much? So the excitement was over. But what I'm saying is that there was a lot of things I hadn't seen until. So I knew that being where I was, and for some people it worked out, but for me, I didn't see myself doing some of the things that we were doing in order to get to the next level. Like I knew that I wasn't cut out for a plant job. Like I knew that. I knew I wasn't cut out for a plant job. And listen, my uncles, my grandfather, they retired from the plant, and it did what it was supposed to do. But for me, I just wanted something different. And so I didn't allow the limited thinking or people that thought that it was crazy of me to do this to deter me from it. And so I kept going. And for luckily for me, it worked out for the benefit because I was able to retire at 43. But I tell these stories because I just think about how many other things that I've done in life where I stayed in a box because I thought that that's where it was comfortable for everybody. Because I didn't want to do too much or be too much because it was like, well, then I'm noticed. But what I recognize is that I'm noticed anyway. I'm noticed anyway. There's just certain things, certain people that just they're noticed anyway. So why not just lean forward into it or lean into it, right? But what I want to say here is put yourself out of those boxes because we don't want the world to do it. So we shouldn't do it to ourselves. We don't want the world to put us in a box, so we shouldn't do it for ourselves. If we have certain thinking concepts, why do we believe this? Is this something that was taught to us that we still take it on as our own? Or are we battling with what we've been taught versus what we want to do? What we've been taught that, or versus what we feel on the inside? Maybe I don't want to live the traditional life this way. Maybe I want to do it this way. And this is something that everybody will go through, but only you get to decide which box you're going to stay in and which box you're going to take away. You're going to come up out of. Now, not all those things that we were taught were bad. Those things were, listen, the things that I learned in life, if it was not for those things from my childhood, I would not be as resilient. I would not be as powerful. I would not be as thought provoking. I would not be as caring. I would not be as articulate. I would not be as smart. Everything that is me is because of how I was raised. Everything that is me is because that was the foundation. And anything after that was an add-on to. Anything after that was an add-on to. It didn't take away from, it didn't prohibit it, it didn't stop. It was an add-on to. I needed that foundation. And where I come from is that foundation. My family was that foundation. But I also knew that there were things that kept us in boxes that I had to shed those things. Because if I didn't, then I would have taken them on as my own when I'm not even really understanding what it means. That's how I became a Democrat. That's how I became a Democrat. Okay. I didn't know nothing about any type of political party, about nothing. All I know is my grandfather told me, vote Democrat. He said, vote Democrat for this reason. He said, Democrat, look out for the black people and everybody else don't. That's all I needed to hear. My grandfather told me to vote Democrat, so I became a Democrat. I don't know nothing else after that. I don't know what I don't know. I didn't even know what the Republicans was doing. Okay. I didn't even know what the Republicans was doing. I didn't even know what the other parties really meant, what they stood for. I didn't know about no right side, no left side, no far left, no far right. I didn't know about right wing, left wing. I didn't know about any of that. All I knew was my grandfather said, vote Democrat. So I voted Democrat. That's all I knew. And so when it started being where I was in the military and the people that I wanted to vote for, they happened to be Democrat, like Obama and a few others. I was like, hey, this is why my grandpa. So that's all I knew. That's all I knew. So some things stayed with me, some things I didn't know why, right? And I had to understand them for myself. And so even as an adult, I still go by what my grandfather said. But what I do know is now I have a better understanding of why I do these things. I didn't just take them on or make them mine or put myself in a box without having an understanding, right? Because we battle with those things. We battle with, should I stay married because if I don't, then it'll look like this? Or should I do this because if I don't, it'll look like this? Should I do this before I do that? If not, it'll look like this. We go through so many things, and I'm not saying all things were bad. All I'm saying is that you have to decide for yourself which the best way for you to approach it, because you get to decide in this life how your life is going to look and how it's going to be and who you get to be. I always tell people that I don't know who this video is for, but I know it's for somebody. And sometimes when I talk about these things, it's what I'm going through personally, or what people around me is going through, or what we're going through collectively, me and them. It just depends on what day of the week it is, because if you catch me today, everything may be hunky-dory. But if you catch me tomorrow, it'll be everything been turned upside down. It just depends on what day of the week it is. So If this is your first time here, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to Hood Parenting, where I give you my experience, my education, and my hood gut instincts and how it helped me to get from the hood to the suburbs to the life that I live now, and how these lessons are things that I know that if it wasn't for the people in my life, I wouldn't have been here. And I'm still not where I want to go, but I'm further away from where I've been. All right. So catch me next time. I'll catch you guys in the next live. Bye.